policy checklist here.
Close to the end of what we have to tell you today. We've been through the assessment affordances. We've taken you on a quick wander through thinking how you do the assessment of student Web 2 authoring well in terms of cradle to grave or design to review process perspective on assessment. And last but by no means least, we need to assist staff to think about academic assessment policy, focusing on core values, safety and fairness. And also, I think it's important to point out, making sure that those values apply not only to students, but also to the staff who teach them. And these core values can range from equity and disability through to making sure that we are respecting privacy legislation and making sure that appropriate conduct in the use of IT facilities and services is occurring, through to considerations of moral rights, copyright, what to do if your student has grounds for special consideration, and so on. So, Jenny, would you like to give us a couple of examples there?
Sure. Obviously, plagiarism is one of the issues that people might be concerned about, and something that I thought was quite interesting from our interviews is that many of the people we spoke to thought that plagiarism might be less of a problem for Web 2 activities and for open publishing. One lecturer said students know that what they discuss is publicly available, and that if they're copying from somebody else's blog, that person is probably reading their blog too. Another comment that was made was that seeing students' contributions over a period of time meant that the lecturer got an understanding of the student's voice and writing style, and that was another barrier against plagiarism or measure of plagiarism. The lecturers we spoke to were also very aware of a need to ensure students felt comfortable with publishing their work online. One lecturer said, "I tell the students over and over again that it is on the World Wide Web. It's not associated with the university. Be careful what you put up there. Make sure you're comfortable with this." And another person said, "I certainly do what I can to protect students. As I say, I wouldn't publish critical comments on their blogs. I don't let other students know which ones I think are good, bad, or indifferent. As they go through, they don't know the ratings, so I protect their privacy to that extent." Does anyone have any comments or questions about that?
I'd just like to remark on this general area of perspective on good practice, that it's certainly the case that many academic assessment policies are pretty irrelevant if your assessment is occurring through Twitter or through social networking sites. The sort of the horizons just are quite different. So I think there is certainly room for academic policy review as we move forward in this area, once we've got a better perspective on what we think are the general guidelines for good practice.
Okay, this is Jeff here. Is it okay? I just wanted to ask or probably pose a question really about students, and students actually, I mean, did you get the impression from the work that you've done that students actually understand what good practice looks like in the Web 2 environment, or are they probably? I mean, are they aware of that, or do they still have issues the same as I think teachers or staff still have issues about what good practice looks like in this type of environment? Like, what is actually being valued?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question, Jeff, and there's huge amount of room for more investigation of this. We hope to find out about that. Obviously, as you've heard, the input that we've got so far is very much from the staff perspective, although we did have some graduate students, postgrad coursework students, and higher degree research students taking part in the National Roundtable. field testing that we are going forward with right now in these 18 subjects at 5 Victorian universities, we will be able to answer that question better. We do have student focus groups scheduled for the end of semester, in which we will be asking questions of students quite direct in that vein. So far, what we've got is really second-hand. That is, we've got some staff telling us what their students say to them. And my impression, and I might see what Jenny thinks about this too, is that by and large, students may have more concerns more to do with the mechanics of the assignment, or the appropriateness of it to what their expectations are of higher education, but have basically accepted the parameters of the assessment design as set out by the staff. And I think there's some more interesting thinking to go on for staff once we find out what we find out from the student focus groups. Jenny, do you want to comment on
what students have to say is based on what the lecturers have had to say about it in the interviews, and there were a wide range of responses. There were the lecturers spoke about students who love assignments and really enjoyed having the opportunity to themselves in perhaps a different way than what they're used to doing in higher education, and to publish to an audience. There was an element of authenticity in the tasks, because in many cases there was a real audience involved, and the engagement with people from outside their course in some cases. But there were definitely concerns about how to do the assignment, and I think that the quote I gave earlier about needing to redesign it and shift the assignment later in the course is something that came up a lot. It's not just about the actual task itself, it's the process of learning in that particular subject that might be daunting, and adding this extra layer of something new for students to become familiar with might be a little bit difficult early on in the semester. Any questions about that?
Just Jeff here again, if it's okay if I come in again. I think that is a really interesting point, because then I think a lot of areas are trying to look at giving tasks to students early on so that they can get some feedback, get some meaningful feedback, so that it actually has an impact on the way they go about doing their learning. And if we give large tasks that are going to take significant amounts of time, and they're going to be shifted till later in the semester or the term or whatever period we're getting students to do things in, that can be another issue. So I guess it's really then trying to work out ways in which you can give them